What's up, guys? It's Missy. I am back with another SimCity Build-A video. Today we're going to be doing a video on assignment loops. Okay, now this video is actually being done because of this person's post on our Facebook page. If you are not a member of our Facebook group, you can join us at SimCity Build It, MissyanneTTVYT. If you're looking to be a member of our group on the game specifically, you do need to either be a low level on the Missy's Building Guide or a higher level player with a decent city that is extremely active and making a lot of progress. We're more likely to accept you if you're on the Missy's Building Guide. Okay, you have to be following the guide 100%, meaning speed level to level 24 and camp. Don't unlock beach, mountain, all that kind of stuff. You have to follow the guide 100%. Don't come to join us and say, oh, well, I'm camping level 8 for 3 months. That is not part of the building guide. It only slows you down. Trust me on that, okay? All right, so let's get on with the video. Video idea. Could you do a deeper dive into when it is appropriate to try to get out of a loop when the point values are higher than anything else in your list? Like a loop where it goes from a 2K to a 3K, but never drops lower and just repeats. Same assignment over and over, like a 4K to a 6K if it's a double point event. Just repeating the same assignments makes me start to wonder if I'm supposed to try something different or is this a sign that the loop is being good to me? Well, okay. First off, let's begin with, I'm assuming you're a high-level player, but that's may or may not be the case. It really depends on where you're at in the contest of mayors and what assignments are part of this loop specifically. That was a tongue twister. So why I'm saying this is because, for example, I had a guy a while back. He's still in my group, actually, but he had gotten into a loop. This was before streaks. And he had gotten into a loop that it had like a 3K VU with a 3K delivery to Tokyo or Paris. I think it was Tokyo. And the reason that this was problematic was because every time he would do the Tokyo delivery, he would get the 3K VU, right? Which is fine for the VU if you have enough VU to do that. But this loop lasted for like ever. I mean, we're talking like 20 times he's done this assignment. And so you have to think about the resources that it's costing you. So essentially the whole purpose in you participating in the contest of mayors is to benefit from the cash, the tokens, you know, the platinum keys and stuff like that. So for this player, it was kind of pointless because he ended up using an astronomical amount of EU. And then he ended up spending ridiculous amounts of cash to bring in all those flights and then a ton of inventory on trying to get those flights done. Now, granted, he would have had an excellent average and he would have probably guaranteed a win that way. But does it really matter at the end of the day when it costs you more than what you're gaining from the victory? And you probably could have won anyways if you would have broke the loop. So it really depends on what the loop assignments are and how long they're going on and at what point in the contest you're at. For example, if it's the end of the contest and it's only going to be for like maybe 10 assignments or so, then yeah, you're probably going to be okay to continue on. You have to look at what it is you're investing and then decide if you should or should not break the loop. Also look at your competition. If your competition is barely anything at all, does it really make sense to invest some astronomical amount of resources and cash to get a win that you could have gotten easily anyways? So then you have to decide how to break the loop. Now, breaking a loop is actually pretty easy. You pretty much just do a different assignment. Now, loops can get kind of confusing sometimes, and they can happen. It used to be that a loop was an assignment, and then you immediately get the same assignment after that assignment. Hold on just a second here. Okay, so that being said, now we can have loops that happen every 3 to 4 to 5 assignments in a row. And sometimes they're kind of hard to follow. So you just have to kind of watch which place value and doorway that you're working and decide at the end of the day if it's worth investing those resources. Now, if it's like a launch VU, VU is pretty easy to get. I would go ahead and keep that loop going. But if it's got like an airport delivery in it and you've got a lot of assignments left, you also have to determine how things are going to work out if you continue on with this loop. Saying that you are a low-level player, for example, and you haven't yet stacked up all of your upgrades. You're going in through this loop, not stacking up those upgrades, not rotating certain assignments that need rotated. You could end up kind of screwing yourself up later on. If it's an assignment that, let's say, is war-related and you don't break the loop soon enough, then you could end up in a situation where you now have this war assignment sitting there kind of being held against you, and you have no way of doing it. If it's like a monster assignment, don't get into a monster loop, okay? That is just a terrible idea. Just leave it sit if you absolutely have to. Epics. Epic loops are terrible to get into because they have timers on them. For high-level players, not so bad if they're, 2,000 or higher, but, I mean, who wants to use up all their resources and have all these downtimes and things like that? So you want to be careful when you break the loop. Don't do this loop for a lot of time and then go, oh shit, I should have been stacking up upgrades and now I haven't been rotating stuff around enough and now I've got 5 tasks to stack up all these upgrades. Things like that. You don't want that to happen. So for high and low level players, it's going to be a little bit different, but essentially, like I said before, you're mainly looking at what it's going to cost you in return to continue on with this loop and if it's worth it. Now, if your competition is really, high and you feel that that's your only way to win and you're not going to benefit anyway from it, then does it matter if you win? I mean, don't put yourself in a position where you have to rely on a loop that's just exhausting all of your resources. That's what I'm essentially getting at, because eventually, most of the time, they do end. Just depends. Sometimes they don't, but sometimes they do. So sometimes you can work it for a while, and other times you can work it for the whole entire contest, or until you break the cycle. It really just depends. Good luck to you. Hopefully that answers your question. I did ask him in the comments, like what assignments it was specifically, and he said, I know it's difficult to assess without seeing the entire list, but I was just curious about loops in general. Okay. Then he says it was a launch 2 to 3 VU launch and a 4 to a 5 VU repair and alternating green Omega Latin upgrades. That doesn't sound like it's kind of hard, but that doesn't really sound like a loop. It sounds like kind of like a loop, like you're getting the same reoccurring tasks. But a loop is a little bit more on point than that. Like, were they literally back to back and of the same value? That's usually how it goes. Not always, but usually. It kind of just sounds like you're a high level player, you rotated your premiums, and you're getting those premiums in return like you should. It sounds like a normal week. But again, it's hard for me to tell without seeing your choices and seeing all of your screenshots and all that. I did recently put out a video on how to do a storyline on the contest mares. That went up this morning. For those of you guys who are interested, you guys really should take a look at that video. I'm going to try to do videos more like storylines so people understand how to look back at the history of their assignments, because that makes a huge difference when choosing the right selection. All right, good luck.